What's going on, guys? John Santos, and today we're here inside of a sneaker manufacturer where they actually produce thousands of sneakers every single month. They're one of the oldest companies around in Mexico, León, that actually manufactures sneakers. So in this factory, they actually build it from the ground up, from the soles to the stitching, to the gluing, to the packaging, and to the shipping out to the stores that they're gonna sell to. And in this video, I'm gonna show you guys the entire process so you know exactly how a sneaker design that you have in mind can become a reality through a factory like this. All right, let's get it.
This video is brought to you by the Ground Up Academy, an online training program and community designed to help build your brand and business from the ground up. Take advantage of the free online training mentioned at the end of this video to jumpstart your clothing line.
The process of making a sneaker begins with the design process. For sneakers, this starts by using a shoe last and some masking tape. The tape is then applied around the shoe last, which becomes the foundation of your sneaker design. The person designing then draws in the design on top of this tape, which is then peeled off and cut to create the pattern. From here, the pattern designer creates a digital pattern, which is then manipulated for production. As you can see, there are a lot of details in creating the patterns for shoes, but don't let this step overwhelm you.
After this, we need to go to the laser machine to get all the pieces. That way we can start to cut in the materials.
Perfect, let's do it. Once the patterns are completed, they are sent to the cutter. This factory actually has a laser cutting table, which takes the information it is given and makes the pattern pieces that will be used during the sampling process of this shoe design. With these pieces and information from the designers, the sample maker is able to create this one-off design. Once the samples are finalized, it's time to go to production. It's important to note that this factory produces thousands of shoes a day, and they work on various styles every single day. So we're going to take you through the entire process a shoe would go through once it is ready to be manufactured. This is something that is rarely shared, so you guys are getting a behind the scenes look at this. Are you ready? So we're actually here at the molding location. This is where they create the bases. This machine right here is the one that makes it all possible. So we're here with my man Abram, who's the guy in charge of this entire process. And he's going to show us right now exactly how this all goes down. So essentially what he's doing here is he's pretty much putting this whole thing together. So he takes the designs that a designer will send him, and he'll actually create a 3D model of it, because those 3D models become these types of bases that you see here. So this was a shoe design that somebody created, and he's in charge of making sure that the shoe design is going to fit the base. This is the molding. So this is all really where it all starts right here. And he makes sure that the designs that were envisioned come to life. So that's what he's doing on the computer right now. And once that design actually gets created, it goes over to that machine where the mold for this comes to life, which is a metal piece, which I'll show you guys right now. Right now we're getting an inside look at how the CNC machine produces the molds for the sneaker soles. Those pieces flying out of this machine are scorching hot. Normally, the doors are closed, but we wanted to get you a close-up shot for you guys. The crazy part is that it could take up to 10 hours to create the mold for one sneaker design. Keep in mind, this mold is just for one size. Typically, shoes come in more than just one size, so you can imagine how much time is spent creating all the sizes that you need for a design. Once the mold is completed, it is measured and inspected to ensure that it will function correctly during the injection process. Part of this inspection includes ensuring that it closes correctly, because if it doesn't seal correctly, the sole of the shoe is at stake. The man right here is slamming it shut in order to mimic the pressure of the machine you will see in an upcoming part. And the blue material that is applied will show how close or how far they are to having the proper spacing. So what's happening here is they take the CNC molds, put it over here. This guy makes sure that it's gonna actually close right, because it's a pretty big deal for it not to close. So it needs to close real tight, because then it's actually injected with the molding material, and essentially it's put together on one side. The sole pretty much sits on here, then the other base comes in and closes on it. And then what ends up happening is they inject the actual material, and your final product looks like this, which is what we're gonna head over to actually show you how those pieces start from here and then actually become something like this, which ends up going into a shoe. But before we get into the next part, I wanna show you the metallization process. This is a step for sneakers or heels that require a metal and bright look to them. During this phase, plastic is essentially turned to real-looking metal. And as you see, the workers here clean and prepare the plastic for what's to come.
Once it's cleaned up, they actually put it through this machine, which applies a base coat to it, which will actually allow the metals to adhere to it.
Next, a metal is evaporated in a vacuum chamber. And that's a smart way to put it, but essentially this thing right here actually creates plastic into metal. Here are some finished pieces that recently underwent this process, and they are now ready to be inserted into the sole as the mold is injected. As you can see, this block was created with the CNC machine that we just saw a few minutes ago. The machine injects the material for the sole, which is then instantly pressurized and cured, resulting in a finished sneaker sole that is ready for production.
This is the finished piece. So as we just showed you guys inside, this is how it all comes together. Look at the quality on that. This is the finished sneaker here. Every little piece has a process and it all needs to be checked and verified in order for the final shoe to come out and actually be ready to be worn. In this area here, they do the final cleaning of the actual molds.
As I said earlier, this factory has multiple styles being made at any given time. And although the manufacturing part I'm about to show you is a different sneaker design, every design goes through a similar process. As with anything in apparel manufacturing, the sewing process begins with the cutting of the fabrics. In this factory, if the order quantities are low, the fabric is laser cut.
So once the actual shoe is cut, they actually notch it here. So as you can see here, they notch these for the size of the shoe. It's a little hard to say that this is a size 2 or a size 3. You know, they're really close. But the way that they do it is by indicating it here. So this is a size 2, a size 3, a size 4. And then what they do with the colors, by colors. So they know that this color is a size 2, and they'll put it on the corresponding shoe size. When you have orders of over 5,000 pairs, it doesn't really make that much sense to laser cut the fabric. What they do is they'll actually create a metal piece, which is essentially what's going to cut through the entire fabric. And instead of trying to cut pieces individually, they simply mass cut them all. So let me show you guys. This is the piece that they use to die cut. Very sharp. Essentially it gets pressed through the fabric, which allows them to cut mass quantities very efficiently.
The dies that are used for production are stored and organized on site, ready for use when needed. So now that the fabric is cut and the soles are made, it goes through a very intricate sewing process.
So in this area, essentially what they're doing is they're creating the front of the shoe. So if the front of the shoe needs like extra backing so it could be reinforced, they apply the glue and then they're able to actually adhere that slight piece of foam, which reinforces that shoe, and then it's ready to go on to the next process.
As you can see, a sneaker has a lot of components that need to be sewn together, which requires the hands of many skilled sewers. It's amazing to see that from the heel of the shoe to every little detailed stitch, a human and a machine make it possible.
It starts from back here and it works its way up back and then over to the other side, where at the end of this production line, they actually have the finished shoe.
From gluing to stitching to even pressure sealing, the manufacturing process is intense, and it's the reason why minimums for production on sneakers are so high. As you can see, there is a variety of steps involved with sewing up a shoe. Belts are used to move the pieces to the next person in the process.
As you guys can see, slowly but surely the shoe's coming together. Every little piece and component and person plays an important role to making sure that the shoe has a good quality at the end of the production run. So this is starting to become a little bit more like a shoe. First I thought maybe it was a baby apron if I wasn't here, but since I'm here I know it's a shoe, right?
These sewing machines are a beast, allowing the sewers to quickly stitch up any angle of the shoe. So with the top of the shoe completed, the next part is in combining it to become a finished product. This is where the shoe last comes into play. Keep in mind each last represents a shoe size. How many lasts do you think are required for an entire size run? The top of the shoe is pressed onto the shoe last in order to join the sole in the upcoming process. Check out the homie Jose as he operates this robot. The shoe then goes into Pablo's court where he bangs the out of it in order to conform to the last. With the final press of a button, the top of the shoe is finally fitted to the last, ensuring closure from the front and the heel. The bottom is then grinded down a bit in order to prepare it for the sole.
In this part of the process, they're getting the actual sole and they're putting the glue that's going to actually adhere to the top part. So this shoe is a lot closer to being ready to be done finally.
From here, the top of the shoe goes through its final prepping process before joining the sole. Shoutouts to the homie Noel, from appearances in multiple Fast and the Furious movies to making sneakers. He's hooking this world up. And finally, the uppers and lowers are aligned and sealed together by this hydraulic press. From here, the last is removed and the shoe is officially ready for the finishing details. The finishing touches involve gluing the insoles and passing it down to the final quality control check. The finished shoes are then boxed up and shipped to customers and retailers.
So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video where we showed you guys how to make a sneaker from the ground up. As you guys see, there's a lot of moving parts into actually making a sneaker design. So it's important for you to keep in mind the types of fabrics, the types of fit, function, and the market that you're trying to attack, because it's not cheap to make a sneaker brand. And I really hope that I was able to answer a lot of your questions for those of you guys that are watching. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe by clicking on the link down below and hitting that notification bell. And also open up the video description to find the related links to any resources and the people that we spoke to today. All right, so I appreciate all you guys for watching. Comment down below if you have any further questions. And always make sure to download the free supplier guide that I have right here, as well as the resources that I send directly to your inbox. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.